Shalom everybody and welcome back. This week, Sarah dies and Abraham has to bury her in Hebron, and immediately after he buries her, he realizes he's getting old and his son Yitzchak or Isaac is still single. And he has to get him married off, so he calls upon his most trusted servant Eliezer and he says, "Promise me, Eliezer, that my son Isaac, you will find a wife for her, but she can't be Israeli no matter what." Joking, she can't be a Canaanite, she can't be a local from the local region. What I want you to do is I want you to go back to my hometown. Hometown is called Harran, commonly called Charan. It also is called Padan Aram or Aram Naharaim. These names are interchangeable names for Avram's family's hometown. Eliezer makes the promise. He goes all the way back there, finds Rivka, a wonderful, beautiful woman, Rebecca, and brings her back to the land of Canaan to marry Isaac. Now this is the same place Harran is where Abraham received his calling a few Parshas ago, when God called upon him to go forth from the land, right? Lech lecha me'artzecha, mimoladivcha, mibeit avicha. Go forth from your father's house, your birthplace, and go to the land that I will show you. This calling happened in the same place, Charan. Ultimately, this is where all the patriarchs, our fathers, find their wives. Jacob even runs back there to hide out with his family, and that's the same place is where he meets Rachel and then Leah. So this place comes up a lot in the Torah, and today we're going to be doing something different because I went to scout out the place in the year 2009. I want to share some of my photographs with you. This is a very biblically relevant place that is still around today, and as you're going to see in the photographs, hasn't changed very much. Fascinating history. And I'd like to share my photographs this week, give you a little slideshow with some narration, and then if we have a little time at the end, we'll talk about some of the spiritual significance of both Sarah and Rebecca's legacy, what they spiritually come to mean to us as biblical archetypes and as our mothers of the faith. Okay, so here we go. Let's go to Harran. I have to say that what was most amazing about Harran is the people and the way of life. It was exactly as I would have imagined it to be thousands of years ago, with the shepherds and the drawing from the well and the way of life and eating directly from your farm animals that you owned. It was absolutely amazing to see the way of life. I completely imagined that this is where all of our fathers and mothers must have, not only where they lived, but the lifestyle they would have enjoyed there. And the hospitality was still really unbelievable there. I made a lot of nice friends. And I was invited, in this picture, I was invited to a funeral, but it was after the funeral they have a feast where they were eating pizza. They call this flatbread pizza. Still use the word. They claim that this is where the Italians originally got it from. But anyways, another amazing thing was about Harran is their native beehive houses. Those cone-shaped houses go back thousands of years. That's the roof you see right there. Really amazing. The upper class will have really nicer accommodations, patios for shade, and now you can kind of imagine what the kind of places Abraham lived. Now this is actually ancient Harran, which is in ruins. That's why they're called ancient ruins. What I found out is that it was an important cult center. A lot of very, very serious pagan worship. A lot of worshiping of different constellations and deities, and that fits in with what Avraham was fighting. Sagmater is about 35 miles outside of Harran and was one of the major cult worship, pagan worship centers. This is the sun and the moon. There's a lot of Syrian script that nobody can interpret all over the place, engraved in the stone. Until this day, we're trying to decide what it is. And God, that looked like a pyramid or some unexcavated mountain that had some holes in it. We went inside the caves. We went to see what there were, and lo and behold, they were tombs and deities from the time of Abraham. Standing in that cave, taking this picture, was like standing in the very place that Abraham may have been standing. Years later, they excavated the area and found 5,000-year-old toys from the time of the patriarchs and matriarchs. So thanks for letting me share some of my travel experiences. That was from the year 2009, and I actually accidentally found Charan because I was backpacking in Turkey at the time. I was living there and traveling around for about a year. And I wanted to go across the Syrian border to Aleppo, but I couldn't get in at the time. I wasn't allowed. Long story. They wanted me to pay them a bribe at the border. No, thank you. So I was studying the map, and I realized that I'm really close to Harran, and I had to verify that this was the same place that is mentioned in the Torah. And lo and behold, it was. So that was a great find and a great journey. And I promised that I would say a few things about the Parsha itself, Chayei Sarah. It talks about both our mother Sarah, her passing, and I wanted to say something about her legacy, and also about how we found Rivka and how we brought her into the family. So the first thing about Sarah that comes to mind is that she represents the archetype of new beginnings and renewal and regeneration. And that is the legacy, one of the legacies that she leaves behind for us. And I say this because, if you remember, most of her life was actually, she was barren until the age of 90. Most of her life she felt pretty hopeless. She was given a lot of great promises, but at the end of the day, after 90 years, none of those promises came true. Until at a very late age, right when she thought everything is just dead. Nothing, there's no new life that's going to happen, no new beginnings. This miraculous intervention happened. God promised her a child, and that became, the greatest joy of her life, because she knew there'd be a future from this child, and that's why you and I are sitting around today. So Sarah represents just this unbelievable, like right when you feel hopeless and life is not really, there's nothing new you can contribute to life, then this great thing opens up to you. So that's the power that we can tap into, the vibration that Sarah leaves behind for us. Rebecca continues Sarah's work in many ways, okay? Now, what we know about Rebecca, first and foremost, is her loving kindness and putting others before herself. So when Eliezer came, Abraham's servant, to find a wife for Isaac, when he came upon Rebecca and asked for some water, not only did she offer him water to drink, but all 10 of his camels. On a symbolic level, okay, the camels represent transportation, getting from point A to B. But it's not just transportation, but it represents transition in life. By her feeding the camels, watering them because they were thirsty, she is the spiritual fuel to enter the next transition in life. So while Sarah promises us rebirth and new beginnings, we're going to go through many transitions beyond that new beginning. Life is full of many chapters in the book. But where do we get the strength? Where do we get the persistence, the endurance to continue? Is this spiritual fueling of the camels, right? And one of the things we learn about when she went to draw water from the well, the oral tradition says that the waters would rise for her. So in a sense, Rivka symbolizes the power to activate what is potentially there. The water is potentially in the well, but she activates it, brings it to the surface. The power of manifestation, if you will. Her presence alone drew the water or attracted the water. So Rivka can also be seen as the embodiment of the law of attraction on a spiritual level. So our holy mothers leave us with this incredible legacy. What they symbolize are archetypes, are universal powers and energies that are available to us when we study the Word, when we study the Bible. And we draw out these lessons and tap into these universal energies and legacies that our holy mothers left for us. One last thing I forgot to say about Sarah is what her role was to her husband. And Abraham, while he was the man, he fathered 4 different religions. Think about it. He was the father of 4. Judaism, Christianity, Islam, and Baha'i. But Sarah wanted him to hold his focus. He had an unlimited potential as a person, a loving, kind person. But Sarah knew how to focus Avraham so that he would succeed. She was the one behind his prioritizing his values, prioritizing his focus. Because of Sarah and her support, Avraham was able to do everything he was able to do in the world. And I think that is the legacy she leaves behind for every Jewish home or a home of faith. And that is, you'll see that the mother of the house is the one who focuses her husband and helps him prioritize his agendas. And that he and the children might meet with success. So let's continue honoring the memory of our holy mothers and what they've come to teach us until this very day. And may we continue to be kind to ourselves and to others. Have a good week.